at the top of the charts, they always carry a lot of grenades towards the later stage of the game. So you need to be ready for that as well. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a little bit of a recap from the previous round of their drop points and their rotations.
The thing I notice about most of the teams that are winning for Miramar, just Miramar, I'm talking about just Miramar, okay? Because of the geography and also the terrain, it gives a bigger advantage for those actually having the higher crowds. If you notice, there's always one member, including digital athletics, or even we're talking about Navi, they have one member to actually be at the watch, I say being the watchtower. They go to the highest ground, highest mountain to spot things out, read the positions of all the other teams, relay back to the teams, and just be the shot caller to where to go for the next one. You always have to have that one person to do that, to be the watchtower for your team when it comes to Miramar.
And the circle, if we can see here, it just goes to KDA as well as the two team members of Team Secret. So they didn't really need to move from that position, and it just zooms into there. And yeah, the moment they had that prime position, that's it. And the rest of them on the outer side, they really need to fight. But this is a very tough place to play, especially if you're playing on the bottom side or on the right side, whereby from the right side, there's nowhere for you to climb. You need to move to the left side and you'll bump into other teams. And this is where 4 AM, because they managed to be in the middle of the hill, they can gatekeep all other teams. That's where they start to farm, and that's where the grenade meta comes in very, very strongly as well. So that's a very good positioning for 4 AM. But of course, the moment they want to go up and try to take over the hilltop, that's where the challenge starts.
Yep, that's kind of hard for them to climb up to this mountain in the first place. They have to fight against 2-3 teams in total. Well, even though Digital Athletics actually won themselves this chicken dinner, but they have been in this compound since the start of the game.
It's the best of the best are here. Don't you want to see the best play? Don't you want to see us as casters show you an amazing journey of how all these teams are playing here? Because right now, this is going to be the recap of how it all went down here. The flight path actually came from the northeast section of the circle here, passing towards a pretty centralized for some of these teams here, but eventually it closed up towards the far north section of the circle. And look at this, every single team was kind of struggling to rotate into this phase of the circle. And on top of that, the zones and also the entry points of the strategy in terms of roads here were very, very limited here. And there was pretty much only the highway from La Cabrera and also the southern section of water treatment. Other than that, it's all mountain terrain. So it's either you use your vehicles to climb up those mountains, or you're going to be running out of gas and you probably need to leg your way through, which we see a huge cluster of teams eventually ended up doing so here too.
And the way you see how Alpha 7 plays himself, and no matter how the circle migrates just now, there happen to be one member inside of the circle. They make sure to secure the position where they're kind of safe in the circle all the way. The thing that amazed me the most, that kind of piqued my interest, how these guys playing out of nowhere in the middle of the mountain to get their resources maintained all the way. They've been shooting non-stop since the start of the game, and a couple of boxes of dead people all around, that they can re-loot from. But the problem is, how did they reach there? How did they manage to make sure they have all the utilities till the end of it? But this is Zeus' ability kind of question.
62-meter shot. That was pretty intense as well, because Tixi early on, he had a little bit of a spray down. I believe they did catch out, I think, one of the members from Zeus eSports, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or is it Nova, if I'm not mistaken. But as of now, before we get a little bit more details here, let's take a little recap on how it all went down, right? First things first here, the circle was kind of pranking everybody in a sense, where it might be in the vicinities of Los Leonas, but unfortunately, it didn't exactly happen. It was actually going to be pushing out everyone outside of Los Leonas here, where Bigetron was smacked into the wall, in the warehouse. It was the time where, hey, Bigetron, you know, we know what we're going to do. We got to play in the middle here, and we're going to destroy everybody, and which they did. It did a lot of damage, but eventually, Navi was the one that took advantage of the situation, right? Like, they came in from the south. You can see Luxie on top of the mountain. They were doing so much damage. They were just pressuring everyone in that vicinity. But eventually, the fight on the southern side was kind of cleared out by Navi, and 4 AM was struggling to rotate in, especially when they had that small run in early on against Zeus eSports, and then they couldn't exactly catch a breather, and they had to go right straight on against a DA in that situation there, Sir Cloud.
Yep. To me, I think they did a brilliant rotation, really.
Kind of escaped a little bit here, where they only lost one of their players here and eventually lost Hasaki, right? But getting pinned by NOVA-XQF and also Aerowolf in that vicinity was extremely hard. So before getting a bit more details here, this is going to be the recap of the map. We break it down here. Circle pushing the east side, nothing out with Doddery. Teams kind of rotate their way through here. But what was really interesting was Alpha 7 in this next circle, right? Look attention, pay attention to how they position themselves. They were really close to circle. They have a little bit of advantage in terms of mountain terrain. They rotated up and down, but they couldn't exactly see what was the best situation to go in here. While that was actually happening here, Circle actually favored the only two compounds in towards Alpha A1 eSports and also Digital Athletics there. And when it came down to those final moments here, it felt like Digital Athletics was gonna take the chicken dinner. And I didn't, what was really rough was that while all that was happening here, every single team had to push into that vicinity, which it was super hard for them to push in, considering that everyone from the side of 4AM, XQF, and also Aerowolf, they had to exit the crater. And I don't know,